This is going to be tough. I thought saying my vows at my wedding was going to be tough, which they were. But first of all, I just thank you all for coming. I have a few words that I've written down to say to not only my teammates, but to all the fans in Buffalo and to the media and everybody that's been not only a Jim Kelly fan, but a fan of my family. As you might imagine, this hasn't been easy. I've had to make one of the most difficult decisions of my life. I've been playing football for over 28 years. Many of my dreams have been fulfilled, many goals achieved. And most important to me, I've been able to take care. I didn't think it was going to be this hard. Take care of the people I love. I've also been very fortunate to play on the same team my whole NFL career. I played with a number of Hall of Famers, and I owe my teammates a debt of gratitude. I'm so proud of what this team has accomplished during my 11 years as a quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. 4 straight AFC championships, 4 Super Bowl appearances, and 6 AFC East championships. I do know the resiliency that has been the trademark of this Buffalo Bills team over the past decade will continue into the future, no doubt about it. And ever since I was a little boy in East Brady, Pennsylvania, I dreamed of playing in the National Football League. I'm so grateful my dream came true. And while I worked very hard for everything I've accomplished, I did not fulfill my dreams alone. I'd like to thank Mr. Wilson for giving me the chance to make this dream come true, a dream that will last forever. To Bill Polian and John Butler for keeping this team on a course for its quest for the Super Bowl. I don't know how you guys kept this core of players together, but you did. And not only I thank you, but all my teammates. And Coach Marv Levy, wow, it's hard to describe a man that is truly one of a kind. His guidance and leadership to his players goes beyond just being a coach. He is truly family, not just to me, but to every one of us. My teammates, what can I say about a bunch of guys who has helped me reach goals, both personally and professionally? I look over here and I see guys like Bruce, Thurman, of course Andre, that's been my #1 guy since day one, Steve Tasker, Chris Spielman, a guy that I just got to know a couple years ago, Alex Van Pelt, Corey Lucci, it's going to be one of the great players on the Buffalo Bills team. Thomas Smith, without a doubt, is one of the best defensive backs in the league right now. I could go on and on. Guys like Eddie Abramowski, a trainer that, to me, to this day, will go down as one of my best friends of all time. To Bud Carpenter, who is like a brother to me. We've shared so many great times, so many times, not just on the football field, but in the training room, in the locker room, over at my house after games. The guy like Dave Hojanowski, Hojo, and Woody, 2 guys that I wouldn't be able to do what I do on the football field without those 2 guys. And there's so many guys I would like to thank, but I know you guys don't want to be here till midnight. But to all my teammates, to Glenn Parker, John Fina, and a guy that probably is instrumental in one of the reasons I did decide to retire, Ken Hall. I couldn't think of a person I'd want to put my hands under his butt than a guy like Ken Hall. But I'll tell you what, to leave these guys, to leave guys like Bruce and Thurman and Steve Tasker and a guy that I just met last year, the most intensified, the guy with more intensity I've ever seen in my life, a guy like Chris Spillman, to be able to leave and not be a part of this football team coming out here, it's something that's going to be very difficult for me to swallow, but I also know in my stomach and my heart that it's time for Jim Kelly to move on. To my family, they are me. They are the reason that I've been so successful. From the day that I was born to the days of growing up with my brothers Pat, Ed, Ray, Dan, and Kevin, they're the reason I'm here today. The attitude that they had, the love and support they've shown, there hasn't been one day that went by that they were jealous of what I've done. And I've always said that I thank God for the ability that I have because I'm able to take care of the people I love. And it starts with my brothers, the 5 of them. And of course, my father, he's the core, he's the man that was able to put me out on a football field to make me reach the goals that I wanted to. His words, if you want something bad enough, you got to work at it. Nothing's going to come easy. Nothing came easy to us growing up. Nothing will ever be easy. You have to work for it. And that's something that I've instilled not only in myself, but I try to instill in the football players around me. And of course, my mother that's looking down on us now, God rest her soul, she is the greatest lady, the greatest mother a son could ever wish for. Her smiles each and every Friday I would come home before a home game, that she would be in the kitchen sitting there waiting for me, oxygen around her nose, breathing on that, the toughest lady a person could ever be. That's where I got my toughness. Of course, it was because of 5 brothers beating on each other. Of course, my father with his strict rules, but it's my mother where I got my toughness from. A lady that I miss, and hopefully one of these days I'll be rubbing elbows with her. And of course, my wife Jill and my daughter Erin, she stayed with me through thick and thin, a girl that I've grown to love more and more each day. My daughter that is home right now, that I'll tell you what, when my mother left, it's going to take a couple kids to be able to take the place of my mother. I have a beautiful daughter Erin now, and as you can see, I have another child on the way within probably 2 weeks. Hopefully, I won't be up here too long and we'll have to rush her within minutes. But again, to my wife Jill, I love you very much. I look forward to the days ahead. And finally, to the Buffalo Bill fans, you are without a doubt the greatest fans a player could ever hope for. I thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart for the love and the support you have shown me and my family. And now it's time for me to devote more time to my family, my wife, my daughter, and our baby who will arrive within just a few weeks. And now at this time, I'm officially announcing my retirement from the NFL and as a quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. It has been a great ride, and while I do agree with the many who have said that this is an end of an era, but to me, it's not an end. To me, my life is just beginning. I want to thank everybody very much, especially my teammates. Couldn't have done it without you guys. I love you. To my family, to the Buffalo Bills organization, and the fans, not just in Western New York, all over the United States that hung with the Buffalo Bills and stayed faithful with me as a person, as a player, and as a human being. I love you very much. I'm still and will be a Buffalo Bill from this day forward. I've enjoyed every single minute of it. There have been good times and there have been bad times, but I'll tell you what, the good times outweigh the bad times 10 times fold. And again, I want to thank everybody, including the media, that have made my life, the majority of the time, a plus. Some of the times, a little shaky, but I also realize you got to do your job. But more than anything, I want to thank the people that have been close to me and have touched my lives. Again, Thank you very much. God bless you, and thank you.
Talk about a tough act to follow up here. Whoever plays quarterback for the Buffalo Bills is going to have a tough act to follow also, because I'm experiencing that up here now. I know you've all come, and those who might be watching on television or listening on radio, to what you think is to bid farewell to Jim Kelly. We're not going to bid farewell to Jim Kelly. His legacy and what he's given to the Buffalo Bills will remain as long as professional football is played. I, along with other members of our coaching staff and everybody else associated with the Buffalo Bills organization, have been truly blessed to associate with Jim during his great NFL career. It's going to seem funny to me, strange, to walk up that tunnel on game day, because I'm usually one of the last people out of the locker room, not always the last, usually one of the last people out of the locker room. Walk behind number 12, seeing him silhouetted against the sky and that crowd out there in Rich Stadium and in some opponent stadiums as well. I've made that walk many times, and I've always been so grateful as a coach to know that I was going to be taking the field with that young man in charge of what happened on our football team. I can stand up here, and I don't need to, and I certainly won't go into detail and cite the many accomplishments that Jim's many accomplishments during the course of his career here. The statistics are there, although statistics never bothered Jim Kelly. I never heard him worry about his passing statistics or his yardage or his completion percentage, as admirable as they might be. His accomplishments in terms of wins, you know. In terms of victories snatched from imminent defeat, you all know about. The intangibles that he brought to the Buffalo Bills, to the city of Buffalo, to the game of football in the National Football League, are immeasurable. Jim Kelly, over this past 10 years plus, has been the heartbeat of the Buffalo Bills. He's been the heartbeat of this team. Totally unselfish player. They don't come along that often, particularly in combination with an extroverted personality that he had. The memories he leaves are many. Mr. Wilson cited several of them. I do recall that final play, forward pass play that was called down in the Miami 2 or 3 yard line when we had that great comeback in Miami in 1989. And I saw Jim, we sent, I think, a man in motion out of the backfield. It was the last one in motion, and all the linebackers went out to cover. And almost from the bench, I could see his eyes widen as he dropped back the pass and realized there might be a big hole in that line. He saw it and took off for the end zone in what, in my memory, I still see often in slow motion as he proceeded towards that end zone and finally plunged in there. And I remember our whole team, myself included, jumped out and jumped on the pile. I remember the scramble to Jamie Mueller. I remember, many of you don't, maybe you players don't. We had practiced that same type of situation. We practiced a scramble 1 or 2 times a week, and in practice that week before the game, Jim had scrambled and threw the ball to Jamie, and Jamie dropped it. In the game, in the Jets game, however, he didn't drop it, and we won the game. I remember so many other rallies along the way. I remember one game, another against the Jets. Thurman, you must remember it. You caught the winning touchdown from Jim in that game, where we had a lead in the game, and the Jets came down. We had a long pass interference penalty near the end of the game, took the ball down to the 1 yard line. And the Jets went in and scored with 1:12 to play to take the lead. And I remember, pardon my language, well, I won't, Jim walking up and down in front of the men and said, "Hey, we better get our butts in gear. We're going to lose this game." In 1:12, he saw to it that we didn't. I remember, you might remember, Thurman were going from right to left, through a winning touchdown late in the game. And I remember many others. He's a great personality with a great family. You gotta love him. It's fun to be on the sidelines with Jim Kelly. Fiery. You know the compulsion to win is always there. Caring about his teammates. I don't know how many times that fireness didn't show itself when he'd come up and snap, "Why don't we get somebody to do something else?" And 3 minutes later, come back, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," and he'd go out and do it himself. Unselfish. No player I've ever coached is tougher. No one has ever been the prototype quarterback to the degree that Jim has in terms of leadership. I had a very poignant moment earlier this morning. I walked down the locker room, and I went over to one corner just to take a look, and there was an empty locker there, right next to Kent Hull's empty locker. And it left an empty spot in my heart, to be truthful. But a great career is coming to an end with great dignity. Jim's meant tremendous amount to the city of Buffalo and will continue for many years to do it. I've often quoted others. I'll quote Winston Churchill one more time. He said, "The price of greatness is responsibility," and Jim was always responsible. He always took it on his shoulders. And I'll quote one more, Benjamin Franklin. He said, "Well done is better than well said." So I won't say any more, because he's done it well along the way. So this isn't goodbye to Jim Kelly. His legacy lives on. And speaking for his teammates, the fans of Buffalo, and all the coaches, and myself, we love you.
Okay, I know some of the media guys have some questions. Again, the mics are right here, and just look at us. We'll give you a cue on when to ask, and you can ask any questions of the three guys up here.
Jim, Larry Norton from 97 Rock. Over here.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, listen, congratulations. Just as one Buffalo Bills fan, thanks for the years, man. You're the best. We love you. I'd just like to know, I got a lot of questions, and we'll have to talk at some other point, but I know it was a difficult decision for you to make. How much of a part of it was made with your family?
Hopefully I understood your question at the end. My family, as you know, means everything to me, and after I met with Mr. Wilson and Marv, my decision had to be rested with my family. And third reason, not sole reason, because I have to feel in my own heart that this is what I want to do. They were a big part of it because they've been through thick and thin with me, and hey, they're going to be here no matter what happens to Jim Kelly.
How would you like the fans to best remember you, Jim?
Well, you know, I've been asked that question a lot. Probably more than anything is a person that once I take the football field, I'm going to give 100% no matter what. I'm totally loyal, dedicated to that. And remember me as a person that was true to my family, my wife, my brothers, my father, my mother, my daughter, and of course, I'm going to go out and I did everything possibly that I can do in my heart to make sure that the Buffalo Bills fans were well recognized, not only in the city of Buffalo, but everywhere else. I'm proud to say I'm a Buffalo Bill.
Jim, Ron Fleming, Fine Print News. And like everyone else, thanks for the memories, but could you give us a walkthrough as to when the decision was made in regards to your retirement? We spoke with you after the Jacksonville game, and there wasn't any inkling in that regard, so could you possibly let us know when the decision was made and when you had to come to that conclusion?
I think everybody realizes that your heart after a football game may be in one place. It takes some time for you to sit back and realize what has went on, what has unfolded. Speaking number one with my family, number two with Coach Levy and Mr. Wilson. I'm not going to, get into details, but more than anything, I had to go back to my family and realize that I don't want to go out the way some other quarterbacks have went out. I want to go out with dignity, with the respect from my peers and from respect from my teammates. I've been through thick and thin with guys like Bruce, Thurman, Steve, Andre, Kent. I wanted to retire a Buffalo Bill. I didn't want to go on to another team because I know that when I do get done playing, my heart's still going to be in Buffalo. So that was one of the decisions I had to make. Do I want to go and play for another team? And the answer was no.
Jim, obviously an emotional day for you. Can you talk about the emotions that you have been through this week leading up to that decision? What has it been like for you?
It was very, very difficult. I think, like I said at the beginning of my talk, that I thought saying my vows was going to be easy. And then when I went up there, they were very difficult because I'm an emotional person. You can ask my family. Yeah, everybody says that you're one tough sucker, but when it comes down to saying things from the heart, it makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult because not only an organization like the Buffalo Bills, a team that I'm very proud of, but I'm leaving some friends than anywhere you can get. I mean, I played football for 28 years. I've been a part of this family for so long. I've gotten to know Bruce and all the other guys. And to me, that's what I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss the camaraderie in the locker room. I'm going to miss messing with those guys just like they mess with me. I'm going to miss going to training camp. And believe me, I've always looked forward to training camp. And I know some guys don't because, of course, they go through the physical aspect of it. And as a quarterback, you don't get hit unless Bruce is ticked off at you every once in a while in practice. But I'm going to miss more the fun times we've had. And I'm sure the media is going to miss me too because who are you going to have to pick on now? I'm not here. So it was a very difficult decision. I'm glad it's over with. But I'll tell you what, I might be retiring a Buffalo Bill, but in some way, somehow, and we do have things together, I'm going to be part of the Buffalo Bills organization for many years to come.
Jim, congratulations and best of luck in the future. Do you feel you can still play, though?
I don't know. It's not always your physical talents that you have to feel about. If it's in the heart. I've always said that if you don't have it in the heart, that's when you should step away from the game. That's why I'm stepping away from the game. After the season was over, I said that, I probably feel that I could play a couple more years. But after talking to my family, talking to my brother, sitting down with my wife, there's a lot more than just football. There's so many more things I got to be thankful for. I'm able to walk away from the game on my terms. I'm able to walk away from a game relatively healthy. I feel good. I'm able to walk away from a game that I've enjoyed ever since I was a little boy. And I'm able to spend more time now with my brothers, with my wife, with my daughter, with my child-to-be. I couldn't think of any other way to go out. Of course, everybody's dream, team-oriented, is to win a Super Bowl. We didn't achieve that goal. But I said this many years ago that if I went through my career and I didn't get a Super Bowl, I would leave a little void, but I know that I've played with a bunch of great fellas and I've achieved a lot, not only personally, but team-oriented, and I'm very proud of that.
Jim, also, congratulations. Have you given any thought to now, you talk about not the feeling of football not being there right now, but have you given any thought to what you want to do next? Aside from spending time with family, what you want to do with the rest of your life?
This year, I have to wait and see how I feel emotionally. Do I want to take a year off from some of the things that I have planned? One plus is I've already spoke to Dick Ebersol, the president of NBC Sports. As everybody knows, Mike Ditka is now the New Orleans Saints head coach. I have a meeting with Mr. Ebersol within the next 2 weeks to decide my future with them. I've talked to Chris Berman. And of course, I've spoken to Mr. Wilson that I will become a part of the Buffalo Bills organization somehow in a different capacity to work with the team. And it's something that, Mr. Wilson, I'm looking forward to. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to get it in your hair. I won't be tell you to roll your socks up and get the headbands off. But I'll be working with the community. As far as my long-term goal, I'm not sure where the future will take me as far as my living quarters. But me and my wife is going to sit down. I have brothers that have flown in from Virginia that one of these days I will be settling down in the Virginia area. Who knows when? I don't know exactly when yet, but I have a lot of family, a lot of friends there. But more importantly, my family is still here in Buffalo, and it will be many, many years down the road.
Jim, as you look back on your career, and you're so associated with the Bills, but do you ever give any kind of thought of how different your career might have been if you didn't sign with Buffalo in '86 when you did, and either on and off the field, how different it would have been for you?
No, because I don't know where I would have been. I knew football was the avenue that I wanted to take. It's hard to imagine me being anywhere else because I've been only in one place. Maybe the answer would be a little bit different if I would have played on 2 or 3 teams, but I've played with one organization, one owner, one head coach. And personally, I couldn't think of anybody else I'd rather play for than a guy like Ralph Wilson. And of course, there's not enough hours in a day to speak about my teammates and of course my head coach Marv Levy. So it's hard to answer that question from start to finish.
Jim, we've heard the stories from Mr. Wilson and from Coach Levy, but do you have a greatest moment? Is there one moment that sticks out in your mind?
There are definitely a few, and the one that sticks out in my mind is the Miami game when we had 3 receivers to the right side. I think Ronnie Harmon went in motion. I got the football, and of course, all the armchair quarterbacks out there said that the call was a quarterback draw from start to finish. It wasn't. It was a pass play. I was supposed to hit Ronnie in the flat. I just saw the safeties split and decided, like Marv said, slow motion. I saw the hole and I decided to go for it. And I put my head down. I ducked under the 2 guys. I think one was Lewis Oliver. They wound up knocking each other out. We scored the touchdown. And probably the hardest hit I had was, and the hardest one to get over was the pow up. Everybody piling on top of me, out of breath. So everybody knows when you're in Florida playing in that heat, you know, your adrenaline's flowing. You're not quite up to the shape that you would be, say, if you're playing in 50 or 60 degree weather. And I could hardly breathe, telling everybody to get off of me. But that was a game that will go down as one of my most memorable. And the other one, probably, well, 2 other ones. Pittsburgh Steelers, playing them when we did beat them, and I did make it through the game, throwing 6 touchdown passes out here against the Steelers, and of course the 51-3 win in the AFC Championship game against the Raiders.
Jim, all the best in your retirement.
Thank you.
When you look back on your career or the circumstances that got you here, is there any ever regret about choosing the United States Football League option initially? At the time, obviously, 2 difficult choices from you. Any regrets about what you did?
As I stand here right now, no, because of the career that I've had as a Buffalo Bill. Back then, no, because I made some friends that I still have now. I thought that at that time that it was a league that was going to prosper, was going to move on. But more importantly, it was, to me, at this point right now, I look back on it, I was able to make it through there. Yes, I threw for over 80 touchdowns and 10,000 yards, but one thing that I think made me the tough quarterback that I am, I was sacked 76 times in one season, so I had something to look forward to moving on, because when I did sign with the Bills, we went through our problems, we went through our ups and our downs, but heck, when you make the run that we've made and you've gotten to know friends like Steve Tasker and Chris Spielman and Bryce Popp and John Feeney, I can go on and on with people, and it's hard for me to make sure I don't forget somebody, but when you make those kind of friends, no, I have no regrets whatsoever.
Jim, from everybody, thanks for the ride. It was a great ride. Have you given much thought about going into the Hall of Fame, and when you're inducted, who do you want to make the speech to induct you?
Well, number one, I really can't say right now whether I'll be in the Hall of Fame or not. I mean, my stats, without a doubt, show that I should be, but again, some people judge Hall of Fame players on different levels, whether it's Super Bowl wins or what the situation is. It's not up to me. It's totally in the hands of the voters, and of course, when you play on a football team, when you play in the National Football League, your first goal is team-oriented. That's to get your team to the Super Bowl and hopefully win one. Secondly, I mean way down the road, is if you played well enough and you've been supported with a great supporting cast like I have been in the years past, You hope that one of these days that there are people out there that will recognize it's just not one person. It takes a team in order to achieve certain goals, and hopefully I've done enough to be able to put my name in there with some of the greats, but that's yet to be seen. I keep my fingers crossed that that day will come, but I'll reserve the right to make that decision then. And as far as picking somebody, there's so many people who have been so influential in my career. My father, my brothers, Mr. Wilson, John Butler, Bill Polian, of course, Marv. I mean, my high school coach, there's so many guys, but probably at the top of the list would probably be Marv.
Jim, our two-part question over here. Are you ruling out ever playing NFL football again, number one? And number two, what happened in your mind from the time when the season began and you were talking about a new deal and getting a new contract and sticking around for a few more years, and now? What was the thought?
Number one is no, I will not play in the National Football League anymore because I wanted to retire Buffalo Bill. Number two is I sat down with Mr. Wilson and Coach Levy, and they asked me what I wanted to do. And I told them I needed some time to think about it. And we spoke on terms, and you really can't go into detail over everything, but I needed some time to spend with my family. From the Jacksonville game on through the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I had to really see in my heart if I wanted to do it. Yes, physically, I feel that maybe I could have, but do I want to go out as a Buffalo Bill? Do I want to continue to say that I was a Buffalo Bill? Do I want to go out walking away from the game? And do I want to go out on my own terms? Yes, I did. And I want to go out feeling good about myself. And yes, it was my decision to retire, let along with my family. And could I have played? Maybe. Did I want to play? In my heart, I thought it was time for me to move on.
Did you think about this at all during the '96 season, though? I mean, we think back to the October game against Miami when.
I thought about it probably in the '94-'95 season. Ken Hall thought about it in the '94-'95 season. I'm sure Thurman Thomas has thought about it, and Andre Reed. You never know when that time will come. You never want to get put in a situation where an injury dictates when you're going to leave, or a change of command dictates when you want to leave. To me, I wanted to dictate myself when I wanted to leave. And there's a lot of factors go into it, but more than anything, I've been a player that goes out on the field and plays with my heart and soul and a determination that once you step on the field, you're going to give 100%. I felt at this time that there's more things that I wanted to do. I haven't snow skied in so long. My brother Pat, my oldest brother Pat, told me that if he ever saw me snow skiing when I'm playing professional football, I wouldn't have to worry about messing my knee up. He'll break my legs for me. So there's a lot of things that I've wanted to do with my career. I have my second child on the way. I have a beautiful wife, a daughter. I want to be able to do the things I've never been able to do playing football. And that's one of the reasons that I'm debating whether I want to get into broadcasting or not, because I will be doing the same thing over again. Yeah, I'll have the weeks available, but I won't have the weekends.
Jim,
Sean.
Steve Hausman from 1080 NBC and WHAM in Rochester. On behalf of the Rochester media and your thousands of fans in Rochester, best of luck.
Thank you.
It was a very tumultuous year for you, both on and off. The feel very significant with your marriage and your daughter turning 1, another child on the way. How much of that specifically weighed upon this, and perhaps more significantly, what do you think your mom would have told you to do here?
Well, number one, that's what I was, before you even mentioned my mother, I thought about that. If it was up to my mother, I would have retired probably about 3 or 4 years ago, because she is and was my biggest fan. She never enjoyed watching me on TV take a beating, whether it's a good beating or a bad beating. I mean, everybody realizes that when you win, the beating isn't quite as bad, but she always knew that when I would come home and if I'd be sore, my pain was her pain. And when she wasn't at Rich Stadium this year, there was an emptiness, not only with myself, but with my family. And it was very hard to swallow. And when I did throw a touchdown, I pointed to the box, I pointed up to the sky, because number one, the box was for my wife and my family, and number two was for my mother upstairs. And I hope, and I think I'm correct when I say that she's very proud of what I've accomplished, not only on the field, but being able to take care of the people I love, and that's my family. And my sitting with my wife, she doesn't like seeing me, go through losses, go through times where I come home sore. She wants more attention from me, and so does my daughter. And yes, that means a lot to me. And if I was single, maybe I'd try to play a couple more years, but I have 2 people that I go home to right now, and within a very short time, I'm going to have 3. And I'm looking forward to those days.
Jim, just to clarify the order of how things did happen,
how did I know that you were
tell,
going to say things like that? Leo, you're unbelievable.
Did you tell the Bills that you wanted to retire, or did they say that we weren't going to offer you a contract?
No, they did not say that. What they said to me is, what do you want to do? Their first question was, what do you want to do? And I told them that I was thinking on the words of retiring, that I had to spend more time with my family, and let the record show that, no, I was never offered a contract because I never asked for one. I wanted to make sure that I did things that I felt in my heart was the right thing to do. I spoke with Mr. Wilson and Mr. Levy, and they said, Jim, whatever you feel is best for you and your family, we admire your decision. I said, I need more time to talk to my family. I did go back and talk with them. And now I said, and somehow, some way, I still want to be a part of the Buffalo Bills organization. I've sat down with Mr. Wilson, and we've ironed out some things that I will become a spokesperson for the organization for hopefully many years to come, because I can't see myself cheering for anybody else. I can't see myself coming to a game to cheer for anybody but the Buffalo Bills. And I want to thank Mr. Wilson for his commitment, not only through the 11 years that he's shown me, but through the years that we have ahead of us. And I'll tell you what, I know this was the last question, but I just want to again thank everybody very much for their support, their loyalty, and to my teammates that have been through thick and thin with me, Bruce, Thurman, Smitty, Andre, Corey, Spillman, Tasker, Alex that are here right now, all the coaches that have meant so much to me, have been through so many things with me, both on and off the field. To my two quarterback coaches, Ted Marchbrod and Jim Schaffner, I'll miss them, and to all the friends that I've grown to love here in Buffalo. I am still going to be a part of the Buffalo Bills organization. I will still be a part of Buffalo. I'm still going to have my Kelly for Kids golf tournament. I'm going to still try to raise money for the kids that are a lot less fortunate than ourselves. I'm still going to have my football camp here. I will still be a part of Buffalo. So you guys, there's about 8 guys over here you can start picking on now. So leave me out of that chapter from now on, okay? But again, I love you all. God bless, and thank you very, very much.
I know a lot of the photographers have asked about a photo. We're going to take the podium down here, and we'll put the 3 guys up in front of the flag here, and some of the still photographers get a chance to shoot it.
Jim Kelly announcing his retirement today, and at the end of the news conference, you heard Kelly talk about how it was his decision. He talked to the Bills last week, that meeting believed to be about a week ago Tuesday, about 10 days ago, and reportedly Kelly was asked, what do you want to do? According to Jim Kelly, he told the Bills that it was his intention to retire. Some interesting things from the news conference. Kelly saying that he knew in his heart it was time to move on. I thought it was interesting, too, that we talked earlier before the news conference about the innate toughness that Jim Kelly seemed to possess. He mentioned that he feels that he got that trait from his mother. Marv Levy with some poignant comments. Levy saying that Jim Kelly has been the heartbeat of the Buffalo Bills over the last few years. As far as what he'll miss, Kelly talked about missing the camaraderie in the locker room primarily. He says he's already spoken to NBC Sports about a potential job there in terms of filling in with the NFL Live show on NBC. He's already spoken to officials at NBC Sports and with Chris Berman at ESPN. So Kelly now with owner Ralph Wilson and Bills head coach Marv Levy posing for pictures on the podium behind us. Right now we'll throw it back to the studio to Susan Banks. Susan?
Murph, very quickly, Jim said himself he does not want to call this the end of an era, but in fact it is.
Oh, sure it is, yeah. An 11-year era that's been really the glory years of Buffalo Bills football. I think even with the loss to Jacksonville back at the end of December, Susan, when Ken Hall announced a few days after that he was going to retire, it was clear that the page was turning. Kelly's retirement, obviously, probably the biggest page to be turned during this offseason, but it's clear that it is the end of an era for Buffalo Bills football, and really a glorious area, and one that's never been matched in the NFL as far as 4 consecutive Super Bowl appearances.
Okay, John Murphy, thanks very much. We'll hear more from you later on Eyewitness News at 5 and 6 and 11. We appreciate your standing by there for us throughout this news conference. Jim Kelly officially announcing that he's retiring after 11 years with the Buffalo Bills. I'm Susan Banks. Thanks for staying with us. Be sure to come back later for Eyewitness News at 5 and 6. And now we join ABC in Progress.